It has been said about the American Indian movement that Leonard represented, the movement that Leonard laid it on the line for, that the American Indian movement is first a spiritual movement, a religious rebirth, and then the rebirth of dignity and pride in our people. It is said that many of our young people have returned to the old traditional spiritual way of life of our tribes, away from the confused notions of a society that has made us slaves of our own unguided lives, and that this movement is first a spiritual movement, a religious rebirth, and then the rebirth of dignity and pride in the people. And we can see our people standing up across this country every day. We are going to continue to march for our liberation. And let it be clear that our movement is not just a struggle for civil rights. It is a struggle for human rights. It is a struggle for self-determination of the indigenous people who have been enslaved for almost 500 years. Let us be very clear on that point. But in conclusion, let me say this. As we move into the next 500 years, let us unite our struggles. Let us lock arms. White, red, black, yellow, brown, women, elders, let us join forces, and let us not be satisfied just to perpetuate the status quo and vote for a Republican this time and a Democrat the next time and end up with the same old porridge. Let us build a revolution. Let us work together. Let us build the real American revolution.
Three, two, one, stop nuclear testing. 3, 2, 1, stop nuclear testing. How's the sound person? Great. Hi, my name's Jose. I want to welcome you to Politically Correct Cooking, a show about two of my favorite things, food and politics. But before we begin the show, I want to thank the fine folks at PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. They gave me this nice gift, a nice apron that says, "I'm a compassionate cook." Thanks, PETA. Now, our guest tonight has been involved in the rights of indigenous peoples for a long time. As a matter of fact, I would say that if you look really closely at the paintings of Christopher Columbus landing on the New World, you will notice that there's a little gentleman in the background waving a sign saying, "Christopher, go home and take your racism and disease with you." So our guest tonight, dacajeweiah, come on down. Doc, good to have you on the show. You look great.
Glad to be here, Jose.
Well, considering you were when Columbus landed, you look pretty good.
That's because I eat right, brother.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Well, looking at what we have here, what's on the menu?
Well, this evening we're going to have what we call Uncle Joe's velvet tofu soup, Chinese style.
And who's this Uncle Joe person?
Oh, Uncle Joe is famous throughout the whole North America. He's the historian of the Piscataway Indian Nation, and he's probably one of the best cooks in the country. So
okay,
that's what
well,
we're looking at here today.
Sounds good. Well, we've got I'm looking at leeks, green peppers, mushrooms, carrots, corn. Something's boiling, and who knows what else.
Well, we're going to have to do a little souffle over here, and I think while I'm doing that, what I'd like you to do is maybe do me a favor and start chopping up some of this stuff over here. And try to get ready to dig in. I've got this pot that's been boiling here for a little while to get it going. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to put some of these carrots in there. Get this
out of the way for you.
And let them start to boil a little bit.
Okay.
That's an empty jar. Two of these carrots over here, two little cups of these. Get that raw diced carrots, shredded. While I'm doing that, Jose, you can go ahead and do something with these leeks.
Okay.
Excuse me.
How thick do you want these sliced?
About that size.
Is that size okay?
That's a good size. And let me see. This makes an excellent winter food over here. You know, it's good for when it's nice and cold outside. You know, doesn't really take long to make it, but it's good for vegetarians. Which, by the way, I'm glad that I've been one for about the last 7 years.
All right.
Yeah. I just got this feeling that so many people out there got such bad health. I know that at one time when I was younger, I was a big, heavy meat eater. So I was about twice the size I am now. And I quit eating meat, and as a result of quitting eating meat, you know, I've been thinking better, feeling better, and my health has always felt, you know, felt pretty good.
Good.
I think part of the reason that a lot of indigenous peoples are having problems right now is economically speaking and financially. People live in such states of deprivation and economic devastation, really, that being poor people, most indigenous peoples are pretty much heavy meat eaters.
They have a poor diet, a lot of fats.
A lot of fats, starches,
like
sugars, and all that stuff, and subsequently that contributes to a lot of health problems that's running pretty rampant on native nations throughout the whole Western Hemisphere.
Now, the diet of these indigenous peoples before, say, Christopher Columbus, probably was a lot better than it is today.
Oh, it was much better. As a matter of fact, most of the foods that European peoples learned from indigenous peoples, there was over 2,000. There was over 2,000 different forms of vegetations. There was over 3,000 different forms of the uses of potatoes and cultivating different vegetables, and also 25,000 uses of medicinals of the various herbs and medicines in this country here.
And we're losing a lot of the knowledge that has been gained through, say, wiping out the rainforest, things like that.
Well, we're not only doing that, we're doing more than wiping out the rainforest. We're destroying lands all over North America. We're destroying lands in Canada. We're destroying the lands in Central and South America. And there's reasons why this has happened. By the way, I just put some ginger in there. That's a very strong indigenous root.
It smells good.
Ginger. Smells good, tastes good. It's very potent for you. So to get this water boiling over here, let me see. This is a halogen.
Yeah,
all right,
bad
this is
boy
one of the
there.
fast guys. And this root here really adds a spice to it. It's a real strong spice. It's not only is it good for your cooking, but it's also good for your blood. It's good for your energy level. It's a blood cleanser, so it's really good. It's got a potent taste to it.
These leeks are good for your eyes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crying a bucket of tears over here.
Yeah, well, talking about leeks, there's one thing that's not indigenous to indigenous people here. It's Indians, as you know them as Indians. We don't call ourselves Indians. We call ourselves indigenous. And one thing talking about leeks, we've been sort of looking at the situation on indigenous lands right now has been a question. It's been a continuation of 500 years of the same old story, really. And really what most people don't understand is that Indian peoples have been the victims of greed, if you will. You know, I know this is kind of hard for a lot of people to stomach, especially when you're trying to get an appetite over what's being cooked here. I'm trying to get one too, and I usually can't discuss politics and you know and make food because it just don't sound and taste good to me. Because of the disgusting realities on a lot of levels of what's happening to indigenous peoples right in your own backyard. And by the way, these over here are called butterfly mushrooms. I'm gonna add this in right here. No, actually, I'm gonna put these right in here to tofu. With this tofu.
I hope these are enough leeks because my eyes are leaking like
your eyes are leaking?
They're leaking
that's plenty of leeks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let me work on this green pepper here.
This is a souffle with the man. Wait a minute. Let's put this down just a little bit. You're not used to this advanced technology, you know.
Let me see if we've got a spatula here.
Not me, anyways. You want to kind of get this tofu here and dice it up, and Put some olive oil down there and let that stuff kind of fry up to sort of like a nice little thick consistency. Get it nice and tangy. It's kind of going to remind you of some chicken. But you're not really eating chicken.
Okay.
All right? What I want to do is get that tofu going there. Fry this up, saute it up nice. Let this cook for a little while with some more of these oyster mushrooms. And continue to talk to you about what's happening on Indian lands.
Now, an organization that you're involved with is called LISTEN, League of Indigenous Sovereign Nations. Did I get it right?
It's a League of Indigenous Sovereign Nations, yes.
And what is the agenda for the League here?
Well, basically, the agenda for our League is, is to move to maintain our status as a sovereign people. Most people don't understand in America that we have millions of acres of lands left in America. But what we also have in America is we have thousands and thousands of corporations, multinational in nature, transnational, and there is a continuation of the policy for land grabs and expropriations of mineral resources on Indian lands. Unfortunately, governments and corporations have formed a long-time merger to continue to rip off Indian peoples. We've been the victims of an ongoing aggression against the lands and the resources that are on our lands. Subsequently, I hate to say this, and most people don't realize it, unlike the stereotype numbers about indigenous peoples only numbering about 12 million at the time of the first encounters,
right?
Which is untrue. We were more like 45 to 50 million in North America alone, and probably 150 million indigenous peoples across the Western Hemisphere. Today, even by government's own accounts, their own statistics, we might be looking at roughly 80 million indigenous peoples throughout the whole Western Hemisphere. So what we're dealing with the League of Indigenous Sovereign Nations is that we're appealing to the average American. We're appealing to people to sit down for a moment and be reminded that we are not a dead race of people. That what the government has done to us for the last 500 years has not stopped. What the government is still doing to indigenous peoples has got to stop for the sake of the thousands and thousands of our children that have a right to live.
Right. And live in a culture that they want to be brought up in.
We have governments that are going into our lands to expropriate uranium, to expropriate plutonium, to expropriate oil, coal, natural resources like gas. All the utility energy corporations in the United States, there's a consortium called the North American Water and Power Alliance, 250 utility energy corporations rapidly moving with the federal bureaucracies of the United States to seize more Indian land. There's a couple major policies that have gone out from the time of the Schlesinger Energy Program in the Carter administration, right down to the James Watts escalations of selling federal lands with exclusive sales to multinational corporations in this country. Most of them lands that are being sold are lands that are supposedly being held in trust by the United States government of sacred Indian lands of Indian peoples. Right now there's been a current escalation going on by the Manuel Lujan administration under Bush, who thank God is going out. But then I wonder who's coming in.
Yeah.
Because basically to us, we wonder basically,
is there a real change?
Is there really going to be a change? Because now there's Bruce Babbitt, who's going to be the head of the Department of the Interior now. We have to watch him closely. What has happened is that the Department of the Interior has got this elaborate scam going down. Government's got these elaborate scams and kickback schemes going on with one another. What they do is they sell land at surface value, $1.60 an acre to $2.40 an acre. These are the surface values of the lands here, and most of this, by the way, is Indian land that's being subject to corporate sales right now under the Bureau of Land Management. Of course, they don't tell you what's under the subsoil, which is multi-billion dollars worth of resources. So we see these politicians, going up for their They're every 4 years. They're going up there to get elected. And what we see is that these politicians are basically allowing these lands to be sold through the Department of the Interior, through the Bureau of Land Management. And what's happening is, it seems like these corporations that have an interest on Indian lands, it seems that they have great contributions to make to the financial campaigns of all these different federal elections. The same situation exists throughout all of Central and South America. There's a program that was initiated by the UN General Assembly, sponsored by the United States and the UN Security Power. It's called Debts for Nature.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. This is where a country who has some debts can't pay them off. They want to, say, renegotiate some new loans for who knows what. Mm-hmm. They're going to be giving away or having portions of their land set aside in return for loans, and they're saying that this land will be for, I don't know, environmental theme parks or something.
That's what they say. You know, they say a lot of things when they control the media. Thank God there's such a thing called alternative medias, like Channel 10 or this thing, this cable TV network. Because that's about the only time truth ever seems to get over, when you're on the right kind of airwaves. This is the right kind of airwaves, because that is not the truth. What's really happening with this Debts for Nature program is that the United States, through the CIA, along with the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, they're concerned in the interest, once again, and always it seems in the interest of corporations and the corporate elite that control the countries. Their concern basically is they say that they're going to alleviate the interest off of the debts of countries like Colombia, the Honduras, Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica, so on and so forth, all through Central America. But if you look at the whole eastern coastline of the of Central and South America, you'll see from aerial surveillances on a map, you'll see that that land is all of the greenery that is left. That is basically your forestry. And what you have going on down there, what's happening with this Debts for Nature in reality is that they're going to exonerate just the interest off of the lands, right, off of the debts owed by these governments to the U.S. in exchange for these governments moving into assisting to remove the populations that exist throughout the whole coast, eastern coast, for all of that timber industry, oil industry, bauxite, zinc, coals, and all kind of ores for that throughout the whole eastern shore. And what you basically got is you've got millions of Indian people
being forced to be
relocated. And believe me when I tell you, and if you think you've heard horror stories before, you should hear some of the horror stories about the indigenous peoples in Chile, the Mapuche nations, the Yanomami nations in Brazil, the United States government cutting people down, aiding and abetting the deaths and destructions of indigenous peoples in Central and South America. We have to say that what has happened to Indian peoples for the last 500 years, isn't it time, I ask your audience, while we're cooking this delicious meal, isn't it time to consider, right? Stop killing 100 million Indian peoples? Where is this thirst for blood? Maybe it comes from meat eating.
Oh, it could be. It could be.
Maybe it comes from some kind of excitement from slaughtering animals. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. The reason we came together in the League of Indigenous Sovereign Nations, we are coming to appeal to those who would have any kind of heart, any kind of sympathy. Not just sympathy, but are people that are politically active.
With an
people that
of what's
are
going
organizers, understand what's happening. We don't want to just preach to the preached or to the converted. We want to talk to people that have not been involved, but that do realize that historically we have been subdued, we have been subjugated, we've been imprisoned upon our own land, we've been forced into poverty that would make a ghetto look luxurious in comparison.
I've seen pictures of reservations in the Dakotas. I've seen Devastated villages in South and Central America. It's terrible. Now, before we go any further, is there anything to be done with this?
Yes, you can bring them over here right now.
Okay.
Okay, and just throw them in there. By the way,
just
I've got the
slide them in?
Yeah, just go ahead and throw them in. I've got this tofu frying up nice. I've got the oyster mushrooms in here.
Yeah.
I've got the leeks and these wonderful greens, vegetables. These peppers here. You have leeks. You've got peppers.
Mushrooms.
You've got mushrooms, and you've got tofu frying up as a saute. Now you add a little more oil in here and throw that heat up just a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, without promoting any particular products, I'll hide the brand name.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Good. This is a good thing to do, right? All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some lemon pepper on there, right? Just give it a nice douse. Right? I guess that's what you call it.
That's good, yeah.
In chef language, right?
In chef dose.
You know, if you add an I to chef, you come up with chief.
Chief, right.
So I guess we'd be the chief cooks here.
You are the chief cook. I'm head bottle washer. How's
he's
that?
the head bottle washer. Okay, he's the headsman.
The headsman.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'd like to... What over here? We got some black pepper.
Black pepper.
Okay. Some black pepper.
Sounds cool.
Same brand, but we're not going to show you the brand, all right? What we're going to do is... Or we try to lighten things up. You know, things are pretty serious out there. Things are really terrible and bad. But somewhere along the line, you still also got to find some kind of humor in this. So one of my relaxations personally under all this oppression, and there's really some serious oppression out there, exploitation, my relaxation is cooking. And I like to cook vegetarian food.
Well, we're glad that you're joining us here to cook it. I can't wait to taste it. We got the soup that's bubbling away. We have the carrots in here. And we also have the ginger root.
Yes.
Okay.
Spicy Cajun vegetable seasoning. Or veg-all.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to put this in here. Ready? And let's see. I guess we're just about ready to get this into the pot.
Okay.
All right.
You want a hot thing?
You sure do. Well, basically what I'd like to say to your audience is that it's really good to be here today, and that this soup here, I hope you enjoy it, but things are not easy for indigenous people out here, for Indian peoples. Things are not easy. And I say that a lot has to be changed if we're going to make it. And what is basically happening to us is that we're victims just like you. Because the average American out there watching this show now realizes that not only are Indian people suffering, not only are third world people suffering, but you in this recession, which is really a depression, you and I have been beaten by the government. Let's just get simple. Let's just get plain and simple. We've all been exploited. We're all being exploited, and we're all victims of greed. The government is now suffering. They're enjoying 3 meals a day. They're enjoying life. While we're struggling 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and killing ourselves just to stay above water.
So basically what we're doing is we're paying taxes, debts are forgiven, but those debts still come out of somebody's pocket, basically our pockets.
Our pockets.
Taxes.
That's right. They're coming out of our pockets, and we need to do something together.
Okay.
I wish we had a lot more time to discuss, because there is so many things to talk about. But we certainly would like to hear from any of your guests.
We'll have your address coming up on the screen, if not already, in the near future. And what we will be doing then is, smells great.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, let me get this out of the way
for you. All right, take this out the way, and
I'll let
while I'm doing that, oh, by the way, you got to have a couple spoons of sherry. Okay. We're going to put some sherry in here.
Gives it that little flavor that.
There you go.
Sounds
That'll
good.
spice it up there. And the last ingredient is this wonderful 12-ounce can of cream corn. Now, I know that sounds wild and sounds strange, but you let this go, and if you like this, I'd like you to write to my Uncle Joe.
All right, Uncle Joe.
Tell Uncle Joe that was about the best meal I ever had in my life. The best soup.
All right. Do you think we got time for a quick bowl here?
Sure.
Okay, let me get a bowl.
If anybody in your listening audience would like to get a hold of us,
Hit me up with
I would invite
Uncle
you.
Joe's soup, man.
I would invite you to. How are we going to do this? Just scoop it up.
You do it any way you want. You're the
All right.
chief chef.
Okay. Let me give it just one more second here.
Okay.
All right. Anybody that would like to contact the League of Indigenous Sovereign Nations
How about that last?
and help us to expose the policies of the New World Order, if you will, at the United Nations, affecting indigenous peoples throughout the Western Hemisphere, please call us. You can contact us at area code 301-932-0808. We have a lot of activities coming up. We would like to talk with you and work with you. So please give us a call.
Why don't you repeat that number again? Because I know out there a lot of people are running around looking for pencils. They're probably writing the number down on the dust on top of the TV set. So.
Okay, so that number once again is area code 301-932-0808.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's try some of this soup here.
Well, here we go. It is actually finished. One more stir.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to use this to?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm actually thinking about going into the catering business. I'm a professional carpenter. I've made islands just like this one.
All right. Great.
That's right. Beautiful islands. I'd like to own an island. Just to kind of get a break
That
from
looks good
this
to me.
Now tell me
say
how that tastes to you.
I'll tell you what. Before I can smell that. For having survived politically correct cooking, come out and tell us all about what's going on. I certainly appreciate it.
Well,
and
thank you, brother.
This is, all our guests get to receive one of these hats. Thank you so much, and we hope that everything goes well with your efforts. I know that a lot of people, not just here in this country, but all over the world, are depending on you. You look good, man. Thanks a lot,
feel
brother.
good, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you to your guest.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Smells great.